Good morning dear student. I am going to start chapter number 8, Akbar the Great. In this chapter we will study about the early life of Akbar, their conquest and about their administration. So about the early life of Akbar, his childhood name was Jalaluddin Muhammad. After the death of Humayun, he was ascended the throne in CE 1556 at the age of 14. Under the guardianship of a faithful and experienced general of Humayun called Bairam Khan, he got a management and administration skill, means how to manage the empire and how to run the administration. So at the age of 14, he was ascended the throne and he got a leadership of Mughal empire. Then he was for 14 years. His age was 14 years. So after ascending the throne, he fought a first battle, second battle of Panipat, that was fought in 1556. The second battle of Panipat was fought between Akbar and Hemu, Afghan ruler, at the place of battle at the place of Panipat in 1556. It was a fierce battle and it destroyed the Afghan power in India and gave an opportunity to Akbar to consolidate and unite the Mughal empire. After that, he started extending in the north side of India and he captured the Malwa and defeated the Baj Bahadur, was a ruler of Malwa. After that, he captured the Chittor in CE 1568 and annexed the Ranthambore. Then he defeated the Rana Pratap and fought a battle of Haldi Ghati, that is also a popular battle with the Rana Pratap. Then he also conquered Kabul, Balochistan and Sindh, and last he annexed Odisha in 1592. So slowly he started to capture the north part of India. The next topic is Akbar administration. About the administration of Akbar. As we know that Akbar was a great administrator. He was a wise ruler. He was the first Mughal ruler who started to look after the welfare of the people. So as a wise ruler, he divided his administration into two parts, into two levels, at the center level and at the state level. So at the center level, Akbar has all the powers. He was a more powerful and he has absolute powers. But he was assisted by the officers and ministers. And he gave a different departments to the different ministers and officers. So firstly, at the center level, the first category of minister was a wazir. He was a head of a revenue department and his main duty to collect the revenue and to fix a revenue. The second one is a Mir Bakshi. He was the second category of the minister at the center level. Mir Bakshi, he was a chief in commander and his main duty and responsibility is to maintain the army, to look after for their maintenance and pay salaries and jagirs. The next category of the minister was Chief Qazi. Chief Qazi was a main judge or head who provided justice and fair justice to the people. He also helped the Akbar in solving the minor disputes and in taking the decisions. The next one category, Wakil. He was just the advisor who gave advice to the different ministers and officers for the smooth running of administration. And the next category of the minister was a Chief Sadr. Chief Sadr was a supervisor of grants and stipend to the scholars for the religious foundations. And Akbar held important meetings with all the ministers in a Diwan-e Khas, means a hall of private audience where they sit together and discuss the important matters for the well running of Akbar administration. And provincial government or state level, at the state level, Akbar divided his administration into 15 subas. Further, subas was divided into sarkars and sarkars further divided into parganas, and parganas were subdivided into the small parganas comprised of a number of villages, and each state under the charge of a subedar. Subedar was responsible for the maintenance and for the administration of the subas, and subedar was assisted by the number of officials at a state level like a Diwan-e Khas, Diwan, Bakshi, Kaji and Kotwal, and number of other officials, and each pargana was under the charge of a Fauzdar. Or at a village level, village was managed by Muqaddam, Patwari and Chaukidar. The next one is a revenue system. Akbar adopted a new revenue system for their to increase their financial power. So he adopted a new land revenue system that was suggested by Todramal, and it is popularly known in the history Todramal land revenue system. Under this system, land was categorized into the good, average and bad, and land was measured with bamboos joined together with iron rings called charam, and revenue was fixed at 1/3 of the average produce. Revenue could be paid either in cash or in a kind, but if there is any natural calamity such as flood, drought, then state granted remission of revenue and also provide financial help. The next one is a Mansabedari system. The main reason for the spread of the Mughal Empire is the military. Mughal administration was a military administration. So Akbar introduced a new type of system known as a Mansabedari system, because Mansabedari system was a basis of civil and military administration of a country. The word Mansab means rank or status. So Jat and Swar were two ranks in Mansabedari. Jat indicate the personal status. It was a personal identification of a person, and Swar means numbers of cavalry or horsemen in the army, and their numbers of soldiers varied from 10 to 7,000. These officers were paid in form of zagir. Salaries were paid to the Mansabedar according to their ranks in form of a zagir, and these Mansabedar was appointed, promoted and dismissed by the ruler, by the Akbar, and post of Mansabedar was not hereditary. The next one, Akbar religious policy. As we know that Akbar is the only first Mughal ruler who was loyal and tolerant and has a non-violence towards the people. So he followed a liberal religious policy, and he suggested different points for the peaceful religious policy. First one, he abolished jizya and pilgrimage tax that was paid by non-Muslims, that was paid by Hindus. Second thing, he also grants financial help to the other religions for their religious foundations and buildings. He prohibited the forceful conversion to Islam. Then he also got religious books of Hindu and translated into Persian. He was a secular ruler. He also participated in festivals such as Diwali, Holi and etc. He built an Abadat Khana where the religious leaders of different religions together discuss the religious matters, religious debates and discussions, and he started a new faith known as a Din-e-Ilahi, which means a new way of life, and main aim of the Din-e-Ilahi that we should believe in a one God. The main basic principle of Din-e-Ilahi, first of all, he preached peace and tolerance. He put forward the idea of universal peace. He also disapproved the system of sati and discouraged the animal sacrifices, and it was merely a code of conduct for the people. Akbar never forced anyone to follow the principle of Din-e-Ilahi, but it was just a code of conduct that we should follow. The next one, his main aim was to unite the people of his empire and achieve a unity in the land of diversity. The next one, Akbar and Rajput. The what kind of relationship was between Akbar and Rajput? Akbar was a wise ruler. He wanted to extend his empire through a friendly relationship. So in the same way, he started a hand of friendship towards the Rajput. Firstly, he abolished the jizya and pilgrimage tax that was paid by the Hindu. Second thing, he appointed and recruited many Hindu people and person in his court. For example, Todralwal, he was a Hindu person, Hindu man, and he was appointed as a revenue minister. Second one is Raja Man Singh. He was also belonged to a Hindu and he was appointed as a military commander. He also got married with the princess of Amber, and she was after that she was a mother of Jahangir. The next one, cultural achievements. During the time of Akbar, so many forts, places, gates, mosques and public buildings were constructed, and there was a blending of Persian, Central Asian and Indian style. He built Panch Mahal, Jodhabai Palace, Buland Darwaja, Diwan Khas that were built of a red stone. Agra Fort is another great building that was also constructed during the time of Akbar. The tomb of Humayun at Delhi is a fine example of architecture of this period. The next one is the painting. Akbar was a great pattern of painting. He established workshop and karkhanas. Here painters from the different part of the country worked together. Dasavan and Jaswant were two famous painters who patronized by him. A number of paintings had scenes from the life of Akbar. For example, scenes of hunting and royal courts were also depicted. The next one is music. Akbar was fond of classical music, both vocal and instrumental. Famous musician Tansen from his court that time, he combined Indian and Persian music style to produce the distinct musical traditions. He composed many rags, for example, Rag Darbari, Rag Deepak, Mayanki Malhar, and he was patronized by the Akbar. The next one is literature. Though Akbar was illiterate, but he had a keen desire for knowledge. Two great scholars in his court, Abul Fazl and Fuzzi. Abul Fazl wrote Akbarnama. Akbar encouraged Fuzzi for translation of Ramayana and Mahabharata into Persian. He also encouraged poetry in both Hindi and Persian language. Rahim and Tulsidas and Surdas was famous Hindi poet of that time. Akbar also introduced a number of social and education reforms. He abolished sati, legalized a widow remarriage system and discussed the child marriage. He also emphasized on the study of history, mathematics, agriculture, logic and astronomy. At last he was died in CE 1605, but he left a big and well-established Mughal empire to his son Salim, who was ascended the throne as a Nuruddin Muhammad Jahangir. So in this chapter we have studied about the early life of Akbar and his administration revenue system. On page number 91, there is given a tick the correct option, fill in the blanks, matching the column and the true false. So it's your homework to read the chapter thoroughly in detail. Try to find out these 4, 1, 2, 3rd and 4th points, and also write down the important dates in your notebooks. Thanks and have a nice day.